Welcome to Straight Talk with Brendan O'Brien and Tim Rowe from the Straight, a special edition of Straight Talk today, focusing on a record-breaking day at the New Zealand Bloodstock National Yearling Sales at Karaka. Tim, you were there, I was not. You set the scene for what occurred there today.
Yeah, it was great to have the podcast back, Brendan. Internet seems is not all around Australia, but anyway, you were back in the land of living, and it was fantastic day today. Just great theatre. Obviously, we saw the Gold Coast with a $3.2 million filly Home Affairs Sunlight, but similar feel today with there's 4 and 5 parties, sort of $2 million plus on the sister to Orchestral. Obviously, great filly for Roger James and Robert Wellwood. High class dual Group 1 winner, and she won on Saturday, which was sort of timely reminder to her talent. And Guy Mulcaster and Chris Waller and a New Zealand client were strongest in the M2.4 million, and they beat out Bruce Wilson's Glen Tree Racing to take her home.
Yeah, fascinating one, isn't it, Tim? I mean, I think we're obviously seeing, these premium fillies, they're just worth so much. And this market this year, we saw at the Gold Coast, we'll see it again. I think we'll see it through the rest of the yearling sales season too. The demand for premium fillies is so high, and I guess, while the Colts market seems to have cooled off a bit, the demand for those premium fillies just seems to, roll on and be as strong as ever.
Absolutely. And, a special part of this selling this filly is Sarah Green, Barneswood Farm in the South Island. Bred her. She was actually extremely emotional, sort of, families heavily involved in the industry. Her father was a jockey, and so she had tears in her eyes. Sort of couldn't quite believe it that she'd achieved this result. As we know, it's extremely hard to do. And as I said, it wasn't just 1 and 2 parties going out. There was 5 and 6 of the. David Ellis got blown out of the water there. Sort of $2 million plus. And let's hear from Sarah Green to explain the story.
We were expecting interest, but never that price. I mean, this is a fairy tale sort of thing. My first dad died when I was 6 months old, and he was a jockey. And then my stepfather, he was an owner-trainer. And I just keep thinking how proud they would be. This just doesn't happen to us, Well, I tell you what, I never wanted to sell this filly, but my husband talked me into it, so he's off the hook now. This is incredible. The thrill that I always thought when you bred a horse and you sold it, you don't get the same thrill from watching. You absolutely do. It's still like our baby, and I'm sure Beshi, who I named her at birth, and she'll still be as excited. I'm shaking my Emily's.
Where are your expectations coming in today? You said the level of interest and all a bit the bit hard is we're on it, but was there a reserve on it, or?
We have, as you know, you get the stats every day, and we looked at it, and we were told there was probably 5 big players up to our reserve, and then maybe 3 that would go above it. And we were hoping to get $1 million. It would have been our first ever sale that high. But to go that high, it's unbelievable.
And the men who purchased the filly need no introduction. As mentioned before, Chris Waller and Guy Mulcaster. Waller has had such success with the Saddlebills progeny, tin mares like a Tissue and Shillala. I mean, no surprise to see them to the fore, especially in that New Zealand market. But the competition was interesting, I suppose, when you talk about, Glen Tree Thoroughbreds and so the others that were on this filly. Just to give it some context too, it was, where this sits in terms of records. We probably haven't, it is obviously the highest priced filly in Karaka history. It's a little bit short of what was paid for Don Eduardo 25 years ago, but the second highest ever result for a yearling result at Karaka is a tremendous result all the way around. And and as I said, Chris Waller needs no introduction. Guy Mulcaster, they know this breed so well. They know what they're getting. He's had great success with Saddlebills fillies in particular. It's just no surprise to see them wanting to get those top fillies, is it?
Well, and interestingly enough, the last, as Guy you'll hear from in a second, says that, and they got blown out of the water on some of these high-class fillies. I think they underbid the In Secret sister at the Gold Coast for $2.3 million that Ian Moses and John Sargent ended up buying. So they've had a crack at some of these fillies, but they went hard today, with their owner, who I believe actually owns Greyhound buses in Australia and had a big transport business in the South Island that he sold for good money in 2021. So that's sort of funding it, and he's loving racing and once he had a horse around, it was placed in the Croker Million on Saturday with Andrew Carston, and he's obviously stepped up a bit, wants to chasing that elusive champion.
Yeah, and we heard from Guy Mulcaster after the purchase of this filly and what it meant and why they went so hard for her.
Good talk, Guy.
Yeah.
We went bit on some lovely fillies. I've been taking his sister to in secret of the Gold Coast to missed out, but you've come here today and bought a lovely, lovely filly.
Yeah, I think over the last 18 months we've been beaten on half a dozen good ones. So let's hope the karma works and we landed on the right horse.
She's got a lovely, obviously immense residual value already, but she must have stacked up.
Yeah. Well, I looked at all the well-bred fillies and I thought she was the one that I see the type, meaning right with the pedigree. So that was a key point for us. Chris loved it from when he saw her, and we took the owners there to see her this morning, and they looked at her for 30 seconds and went with our judgment.
Obviously, a tissue's in the pedigree down there as well, and Chris has done a great job with her.
Yeah, exactly. So,
can you reveal the client?
Nah, it's just a private client of ours that just sort of keeps to himself.
Yep. Is the longer term aim perhaps breed with her, or there's
try and win some good races with her first.
Did you think you'd have to go that high, Guy? Or
are they the good ones are becoming more expensive every sale we go to? So I got the impression there's a lot of people on her, so it is what it is.
Obviously a great get for NZB, a great day, historic day we mentioned before, second highest yielding price ever, Tim. You spoke to Kane Jones about the day's action from NZB and where things sit. I mean, these type of results are the ones you can hang your marketing on for years to come, aren't they? I mean, not necessarily regardless of what else goes on elsewhere in the sale, but it certainly helps to convince people that you're the sales company they should be putting their horses through if you can get these big results on these these high profile lots.
And again, a filly of the top at the sale today, she could have easily gone to Easter or Magic Millions. Any sales company would have chased her, but Sarah Green and stayed loyal, and they got well rewarded. Importantly, below the market, below those highlight lots, it was a solid day's trade today. The clearance rate sort of picked up to 76%, which I think is in the current context of the market, I think is pretty solid. As I said, there's a good spread of buyers, a lot of Australians sort of participating, and Kane was quite satisfied with how it played out.
Yeah, it was just a magical day. Look, to achieve a result like that, 2.4 million for just for amazing people and breeders and Bardswood Farm and great supporters of New Zealand Bloodstock and Haunui Farm as well was really exciting, and the emotion during and immediately afterwards was pretty special and pretty overwhelming as well.
What were your expectations as a sales company trying to leading in? You've got some nice fillies and one tomorrow to go as well. It's the sister to Prowess, but what were your expectations?
Yeah, they're always really hard to value these high priced horses. The number of people that could bid at that level is pretty limited, but they're always strong when they do like a horse. So look, we were thinking she could get past $1 million, but to get to 2.4 was, I think that took everybody by surprise. And like you said, it's the highest priced filly to ever walk through the ring here at Karaka, and only the second highest priced yearling ever sold. So just a magical moment.
Obviously outside her, there's been, seen the clearance rates picked up through the ring, and average obviously helped by her going through as well. But how did you see today's trade?
Yeah, the clearance rate yesterday was about 73%. It grew up to just over 76% now for the 2 days. So that's probably a reflection of vendors just finding out where their level is in the sale, and yeah, everyone working hard behind the scenes as well, and on both sides of the ledger. So pleased with that. The average is up a touch on last year, and the median is pretty consistent. So really pleased with the way we're tracking at the moment.
Yeah, interesting to hear from Kane Jones there, Tim, about sort of how they play. Are you interested in your thoughts? I've followed this sale a bit from afar, so I haven't been sort of in the nitty gritty of it. Is your feeling that if you had to put it on a temperature market in terms of where it's at, where it's at last year and where it's at this year, that things have cooled off a little bit this year, or where's your sort of feeling about where the market's at the moment?
I think the stats show it's pretty healthy. As I said, the Aussies are maybe not any new Aussies participating, but those that love the New Zealand stock are here and all bidding up quite strongly, Mick Price, and going bought quite a few horses, and all the main stables are represented, Kieran Maher and so forth. But it's the locals, there's a bit of optimism. This is probably a topic for another day and certainly probably a specific podcast or story for sure. But the next 3 years, with the Entain deal, the way it's structured, they're quite optimistic that this is the time to invest in racing. And, we're seeing with the local trainers are certainly trying to do that to a level. And I think the sales quite respectable the way it's turned out. And so there's obviously three days to go, and book 2 might be slightly different. But yeah, at the moment, I think as Kane suggested, they're quite satisfied.
Yeah, it's an interesting one just looking through. I think the top 7 lots so far have all been bought by 7 different buyers, which is a good thing for the sale to have that breadth, and also a good spread of size. We've got 3 horses by Wootton Bassett involved there, but we've got 2 by Savabeel, 1 by Pricey, and 1 by Too Darn Hot. So it's not like it's probably previously years it's been sort of the Savabeel show to a certain extent or whatever else, but these we saw on the first day the Wootton Bassett stock were very much in demand, which is not surprising, particularly as colts at the moment are in great, well considered. But there does seem to be a good diversity there for people to go shopping and pick out the best of these sort of high-end Kiwi sires, plus some Australian-based shuttlers that are probably making a mark as well.
Yeah, and this came up in conversation with some sort of European agents I was speaking today. I won't blame them for that. I don't want to out them, but they're quite amazed. We keep talking about the fashion of can change the market overnight. You'll win a big winner on the Saturday, and they're all over them, like the Wootton Bassets, and he looks like he's a champion stallion in the north, and looks like he's going to do it here too. But absolutely, he's put a premium on them, and that's just the way it is down here, that people want to be part of what's new and what's happening now, rather than sort of looking back and maybe, unless I don't do the research, I absolutely do. But the horses are easier to sell, but they're here and now, and what's in front of the punters, so to speak, because at the end of the day, these trainers quite often are speaking these horses and having to on-sell them to clients and 5, 10 and 20% shares.
Tim, we've got the final day of book 1 selling tomorrow, plus book 2 coming through as well. We'll have a catch up a bit later in the week and have a chat about where things sit at the sale for you, and hopefully get a couple of feature interviews there about a couple of people sort of reflecting on where the week went. But your feeling overall is that sort of both sides of the market, the buyers and the sellers, sort of feel like they've had something reasonable to play with, and that probably it's harder to do a deal than what it was last year. Probably similar to Magic Millions. It's not disastrous. It's just a bit of a step back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're fair in that assessment, Bren. One point again was made to me from an Australian that, and even the studmasters I've spoken to here, and Mark Chitty suggested it from Hanui Farm, who prepared the record-breaking filly today. The upkeep costs are lower in New Zealand than compared to what it costs you to produce a horse in Australia. Service fees are much lower, so while the averages mightn't compare, or certainly don't compare to Gold Coast and Easter and some of the other Australian sales, the profit margins are probably healthier, and especially for those studs that own the stallion. So, it's not as simple as just looking at averages to work out how things have played out.
Thanks for joining us, Tim. We'll speak to you later in the week. We'll catch up. Thanks for joining us for Straight Talk. Make sure you give us a rating on whatever you listen to us on. We're on various platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, Apple, anything else you want us to listen to us on. We're all around the place. Give us a rating on there if you like what you're hearing. And you'll be back later in the week to wrap up Karaka and talk about a whole bunch of other issues in the racing, wagering and breeding world. Thanks for joining us.